Hello, thank you for joining us. This is Morgan at splendid.yoga. Let's start in a seated position with your legs out in front of you. If you need to grab a blanket or a pillow or a block for underneath your knees, go ahead and grab that now. You will want a blanket for later on, so definitely grab a blanket or a towel. Let's do caterpillar pose. So sit with your legs straight out in front of you. Yeah, with some support underneath the knees. Tuck your chin into your chest and curl the crown of your head towards your knees. Now, probably you're just going to be hanging. Probably your head won't touch your knees or come between it, but you can let yourself hang. Relax your arms, heavy in the elbows, light in the hands. If this feels like too much, especially for the neck, then set up some sort of structure to support your head. If you'd like a little bit more, you could clasp your hands at the nape of your neck and let your elbows hang heavy. You could hold this just for a moment. It kind of lights things up, tells you where you're going to want to be feeling this. Or you could hold it there for the rest of the time we're in this pose, about 3 more minutes. There's another option to this pose. I want to give you a disclaimer. This is not the pose to do if your back hurts. Not from a video anyway. Work with someone in person. Work with a yoga teacher that you trust in person if you want to try this pose. If you've ever heard the words herniated disc, then you don't want to try this variation. If your neck is in pain, you don't want to try this variation. If you have high blood pressure, do not try this variation. Thank you. It will not do you any good. If your back's feeling good, you feel like you have the flexibility in this pose, you can take this one on your head. No, really, you roll onto your back. It kind of looks like the plow pose. Now, once again, look, you're putting so much torque on your neck, on your shoulders. You want to keep your nose pointed straight up, so don't try to get into this pose and then look at the screen to see if you're doing it. If you start to feel too much pressure, if you start to feel any pain, oh my goodness, friends, get out of this one. Get out of this one slowly. Stay with the caterpillar. But for some of us, this is going to feel really nice. For most of us, this would be a disaster, so don't feel like you're missing anything by not taking this variation. You're welcome to stay in this variation for the last minute and a half that we have here. I'll join you back in the caterpillar pose. Let your face relax and your toes. All right, so if you're still in the variation balanced on your head, you're going to slowly curl yourself out and join us in the seated position. If you're seated, you'll place your palms on the ground You'll straighten your arms and restack your body. If you had anything underneath your knees, underneath your face, set it off to the side. Yeah, and then let yourself just sit. Bring your hands behind you a little bit and let yourself sit in that lounge chair position. You can tilt your head back or keep your chin forward. Just let that settle in. And I'll show you the setup for our next shape, the babbling brook. So you're going to want your blanket or a towel or some pillows. So I'm going to use blankets. I'm going to take this blanket, I'm going to roll it into a cylinder. I'm going to place it behind my solar plexus. So my mid-back, right underneath where my floating ribs start, underneath the scapula. My shoulder blades are fully on the ground on top of this blanket. And then I'm going to take the other blanket or the bolster or a block or some sort of elevation, place that underneath your knees. Yeah. And then you settle in. You can bring your arms out to a T or a cactus. Rock your head from side to side until it finds somewhere it feels really easy. Yeah, if the ground feels hard underneath your head, get another blanket under there. But don't lift your head up like a pillow. You want your head to be in its alignment as though when you're standing up, really straight, really erect. This is called Babbling Brook pose. You can imagine you are the brook, you are the river, you are the creek flowing over the smooth stones of whatever's underneath your back, whatever's underneath your knees. So let's imagine that flow of energy starting at the feet, flowing over your ankles, flowing over your lifted knees, flowing down your thighs to your hips, flowing up and over your ribs, over your heart, through your shoulders, little detours through the arms, through the fingers, and up through the throat, through the face, through the hair, all the way through the crown of the head and beyond. That flow of energy, that constant stream of the cool, clean, babbling brook. Let it feel nice. And we'll spend this last minute or so in silence. All right, to come out of this pose, you're going to set your feet on the ground. You can set them on top of whatever was underneath them. Then lift your hips up just enough to slide that blanket out from underneath you. And lay your hips down and windshield wiper your legs from side to side. Move slowly here. Bring your knees into your chest, rock to your left side, curl into yourself. Breathe into that spot where the blanket was touching your back. Ease your way into a tabletop position. Bring your right knee forward towards your right wrist and kick your leg off to the left and lay yourself down onto your right hip. Extend your left leg behind you. Keep the ball of your foot tucked under to start. Place your right fingertips on the ground. Reach your left fingertips towards the sky, then twist up and look up. Exhale and twist your left arm underneath your right. Lay your left shoulder and your left ear down. Now this one's a lot. You may not be able to go all the way here. You can start just with your legs scissored out and your hands propped up. This can feel like plenty, especially for the hip. It's a big twist for the back as well. But if you want that big, big opening, if you need more, then you take the thread the needle variation. So you can keep the toe behind you curled under. That kind of helps keep your legs in a position where you get a good stretch for the outer right hip. But if it's just too much for the ankle, you can let the leg flop wherever it wants to go. You can allow the knees to bend. You can make this as yin as you'd like. If the thread the needle isn't working but you still want to lay down, you can just reach your arms forward or off to the side and take more of a loose version of the sleeping swan, which is the yin version of the half pigeon, the Ekapada Raja Kapotasana in the yang practice. There's a lot going on in this pose. How much can you surrender? Over and over again. Surrender. Relax your spine all at once. Slide your hands underneath you. Peel yourself off of your leg. Slide your right leg back into the tabletop position. Really take your time here. You can swivel your hips around, move through some cat-cows or some variation of those two things. Let yourself find neutral again in about 5 breaths. We're going to take that one on the other side. So slide your left knee up to your left wrist. Extend your leg off towards the right and set yourself down. Set that left hip down. Extend your right leg behind you. Tuck the right toes underneath you. You can stay right here. You can reach your arms forward. You can fold down into a slightly untraditional pigeon variation. Or if you want the twisted pigeon, you set your left fingertips on the ground. Reach your right fingertips towards the sky. Open up wide through the shoulder. And then twist. Thread your right arm behind your left wrist. Set your right ear and your right shoulder down. And then situate yourself. Sort yourself out. That back leg wants to release. If the toes want to relax. If the face wants to be doing something else, let yourself settle into something that allows your body to relax. That sense of surrender over and over again. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is accepting things for how they are and allowing yourself to be led to what's greater, to what's next, to what's better, to what you need, to what your heart wants. Let a wave of relaxation roll through your entire spine. Take your time here. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders. Push yourself up. Scooch that left leg back next to the right. And take whatever movement your body would like. Some big hip rolls, some big spinal rolls. You can extend one or both legs behind you. You're going to come onto your back eventually, so make your way, head in that direction. As you land on your back, set your feet underneath your knees, like the bridge pose. Heel toe your feet mat distance apart, set your knees together. Let your whole spine relax. Once again, feel that support underneath you. Succumb to that support. Surrender to that support. It's like surrendering to a hug. Really sweet. Namaste.